Okay, so in this video, I'm going to go over 5 things in which every high school athlete should be focusing on and should be doing in order to stay healthy throughout their entire season. Okay, so our first one is just getting enough sleep. If you don't get enough sleep throughout your season, this is a really easy way to impact your recovery in a negative way and essentially to eventually result into an overuse injury or just having your performance decrease. So a couple of points here that I want you to focus on while you're in season is getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Now I understand that this is going to be tough. You've got schoolwork going on, you might have practice and games going on, and you might still be working out. So you have a lot of things on your plate, and getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep might be tough. So here's just a couple of things that may help you with this, may help you fall asleep better, may help you just kind of stay on top of things better. Now the first thing's going to be is just limiting your blue light. Now this is going to be your phones and computers and TVs. Now once you're done with your day, now say you have practice or a game, maybe you've worked out, you might be a little wired up, you might be a little excited, and you need to decompress. And a natural thing to do while you're decompressing is to look at your phone, look at a computer, or even watch TV. Generally, try to limit or take away any sort of blue light or looking at screens about an hour before bed. So that's a general good recommendation. So an hour before you're about to sleep, maybe take the screens away, read a book, or maybe focus on your schoolwork where it's on paper versus on a screen. And that will actually help you a lot to fall asleep easier and better. Or what you could invest in is a blue light blocking glasses in which you'll actually block the blue light rays. Blue light tends to limit melatonin production, so it actually will make it harder for you to fall asleep. So this really could be a really good investment. Now on top of that, maybe even taking a supplement like magnesium glycinate or magnesium threonate right before bed. That'll actually help you fall asleep easier and fall asleep deeper. Now the last thing I would note on that is just staying on top of your work. Now this is a real easy way to get you to lose sleep, and I get it, it could be tough. So try to find times throughout the day, maybe you have study hall, maybe you have moments between practices or working out where you could get your homework done or get your schoolwork done or just stay on top of your work, because once you do start to fall behind, it will pile up and it might result in nights in which you may not be sleeping as much. So as long as you're getting most nights 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you should feel really good throughout the season. Here's another really easy one to focus on, but if we miss this will actually greatly impact our performance. If you're dehydrated at all, it will negatively influence your performance and it will put you at a higher risk of injury. So staying hydrated is super important, especially while you're in season. So generally what we do is we recommend you take your body weight, multiply it by 0.7, and that should equal the amount of ounces per day that you should be drinking. Now that's just a general recommendation. If you're practicing and you're sweating a lot and you're working hard and you're doing a lot of conditioning and cardio, what I usually recommend on top of the 0.7 times body weight in ounces is after a practice or a workout or a game, add 16 to 24 ounces of water on top of that. So the next one to focus on is just eating enough, making sure you're getting enough food in. This is a really easy one to to miscalculate or not get enough on with while you're in the middle in season, just like hydration. So here's a couple of rules that I like our athletes to try to follow. You know, it's not going to be perfect, but something to aim for. And that's 3 meals by 3 and 5 by 9. Now, I'll be a little flexible on the 9 o'clock. Maybe you get home a little bit late. Maybe it's 10. Maybe it's 11. Hopefully you're not still awake by 11. We're actually starting to get ready for bed, kind of leaning into getting enough sleep. But this is a really good way to make sure that you're not losing too much weight, you're not losing too much muscle, and you're keeping your strength up And that's going to play a really important role in just keeping you healthy throughout the season and keeping injuries to a minimum. So 3 meals by 3 and 5 by 9. And I understand that this might be a little bit difficult being a high school athlete, but what you're going to have to do is make sure you're planning your meals ahead of time. You know what you're going to eat when you wake up in the morning. You know what you're going to have for lunch. And maybe you have something like a protein shake or protein powder, protein shake, or protein bar ready for you after school, so you're hitting that 3 by 3 and you're not going into practice hungry or maybe even low on calories. Now once your practice or workout's done, you should have a meal right afterwards, and then you should be ready for dinner towards the end of the day. Here's another one that I see a lot, that athletes think that once the season starts that strength training can essentially stop. Now whether it's with us or on your own, you still be trying to do some level of strength training at least 2 times a week. And now it's going to be dependent on your sport. If you're playing a sport like soccer or even basketball or something in which endurance plays a really big role, you might want to lean more towards 2 times a week. But if you're playing a sport maybe like football or baseball, in which strength and power is super important, you might want to lean more towards 3 times a week on strength training. Now when I say strength training, I don't want you to think about what we do in an off season or even a preseason cycle. Now that volume is going to be a little bit higher. Our main focus is to get you stronger. Once you're in season, strength training focus is strictly going to be, I want to maintain the strength in which I've developed throughout the off season and preseason, so I can maintain it throughout the entire in-season. And that's just going to keep my performance up and keep the likelihood of an injury low. So when you're in the gym, maybe you're only going to spend 30 minutes in there. Maybe you're going to spend 45, maybe you'll spend an hour. But it should not be super strenuous. You should not be walking out of the gym feeling like you just got your butt kicked. We just want to stimulate strength. We want to send the body a signal in which it's reminding it that we still need to be strong. We still have things going on, that muscle mass and strength is important. And it's just going to help you maintain your entire strength throughout the season. So, for example, maybe you come in and on the off season you might be doing something like a 5 by 5 on a trap bar deadlift. Now at the end of that 5 by 5, you might be a little bit tired, you might feel a little fatigued. What we would do is probably decrease the total intensity or weight by about 20 to 30%. What we would do is lower the rep count, maybe 2 to 3 reps. So maybe we're doing 2 or 3 reps, and maybe we're even only performing 4 to 3 sets of that. And that would be essentially across the board, even on our accessory work. So what we're doing while we're performing these exercises is to still treat this like it's a heavy weight. I'm going to still try to pick it up fast. I'm going to try to be aggressive with it. But what this is going to do is help a great deal to make you stay strong, but not necessarily sore. So at the end of your season, you should hopefully be feeling just as strong as when you started. The thing you want to focus on is performing mobility exercises on a regular basis. Now, when I say mobility exercises on a regular basis, I don't mean just before you're about to practice, which it is still important to stretch out and make sure you're performing the mobility exercises that work for you and that you've learned throughout training here, or maybe you've just kind of seen us doing this on our social media platform. Now, you want to be able to get into a routine in which maybe you wake up in the morning and you perform a couple key mobility exercises. You're going to stretch out your hip flexors, stretch out your glutes, activate your glutes, mobilize your upper back, mobilize your pecs, and maybe even perform a couple shoulder exercises in which we're engaging those traps and getting into scapular retraction. Now these are just like day-to-day routines in which it may not produce a significant result right away, but over time we're going to maintain our mobility and our joints' ability to move well. Now, you might want to perform this 2 to 3 times throughout the day. Now that would be morning, right before your practice or workout, and then right before bed. If you're pretty consistent on performing 5 to 10 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day, you should notice a really great benefit of you just feeling like you're recovering better, feeling like your joints are moving better, and you have just overall less aches and pains.